Well, friends, I welcome you all. So let us continue our discussion on the quarterly return and monthly payment scheme. So since one session is already over, so you are quite aware of many of the concepts related to that. You already know normally a registered dealer, what he does every month, he needs to calculate that what is his tax liability under GST law, what is how much he is liable to pay on GST account, SGST account, IGST account, and cess. He needs to calculate. Then also he also needs to know how much of input tax credit is available. He tries to adjust that, and after that, if something is still payable, he pays in cash. How he pays in cash? He creates a balance in the electronic cash ledger, and finally, at the time of filing monthly return, he adjusts it in the return, showing that this much of amount is paid out of electronic credit ledger and this much amount is paid out of electronic cash ledger. Money which is available in the form of ITC or input tax credit is reflected in which ledger? Who can tell me that is reflected in which ledger?
Electronic credit ledger.
Electronic credit ledger. And the money which is paid in cash, that is reflected in electronic cash ledger. And now you have to settle your liability, your tax liability, by using both the things. Okay, and both the things you also know how this can be utilized. You also know the priorities which that can be utilized. That concept we have already covered. So this is how payment has to be made. But in order to make the process easier, for those dealers whose aggregate turnover doesn't exceed 5 crore, so this new scheme is launched from January 2021. So according to this scheme, what happens? You can pay tax on monthly basis, and you may file return on quarterly basis. You need not file return on monthly basis. Okay, you may pay tax on every month, right? And if you want, you can also upload the invoice details, right? So that is about this scheme. So quickly, let us recapitulate, then we'll move to new concepts under the same scheme. So as you already know, in the previous class, we had discussed about this thing, that who are eligible for this scheme. First condition is that turnover should be less than or equal to how much? What is the turnover limit, turnover criteria?
Less than or equal to 5 crore.
5 crores. Okay, so no confusion about this. Turnover should be more than or equal to 5. That is up to 5 crore turnover. And up to 5 crore means how you will be able to compute this, whether it is how you will be able to compute that turnover.
So the previous year total.
Yeah, you have to see the preceding financial year. Okay, preceding financial year, that too, it will be computed on the basis of the returns that you have furnished or the dealer has furnished. Okay, on that basis, it has to be seen whether the aggregate annual turnover is exceeding 5 crores or not. If it is exceeded 5 crore, then that person is not eligible for this QRMP scheme. Okay, right? And this scheme is available only from 1st January 2021 onwards, and this scheme is optional. That concept also, you know all these things. Okay, and since this is an optional scheme, you have to exercise that option. You have to voluntarily exercise that option. But of course, there are certain situations when it will be deemed that somebody has opted for this. Otherwise, this option is open, one can go and opt for that option. But there is a time limit for opting this option. Have you remembered this time limit? When one can opt? Suppose let us opt for, we are planning, let us opt for let us say for this is the quarter. Sorry, it's the wrong quarter in fact. Let us say for this quarter, someone wants to opt for QRMP scheme. Can you tell me what is the time period in which one can opt for this? Can anyone tell me?
Up to July last.
July 30.
Up to July 30th. Okay, so first month of this current quarter, July 31st. This is the last thing. But that period, I wanted the beginning time also.
1st of May, so that it will be the last.
1st of May. Why you are saying this? Because you know the previous quarter. Previous quarter is April, May, and June. So for the 1st of May, on the beginning of the second month. Okay. So 1st of May. From May 1st to 31st, like within that one has to up. So many times people complain or clients complain that I am unable to exercise the option. The only thing is that why they are unable, because time period might have gone. Okay, time period might have gone. That's why they are unable to opt in the this particular scheme. Okay, so this time is important for us. Now, friends. Okay, this examples we have seen how to move it. This is also we have seen in earlier class. Yeah. Now you see, even if someone has opted for this scheme, so automatically he will become ineligible in the following situation. First situation is what? In case his aggregate turnover crosses 5 crore during the quarter. If it crosses 5 crore, then from the next quarter onward, you will not be eligible. For example, so let us say somebody's turnover crosses 5 crore in April, May, June. Previous year's turnover was less than 5 crore. He has opted. But in this current quarter, turnover has crossed 5 crore. Then he will become ineligible. Second point you have to remember, that person is not eligible if he has not filed the returns which are due on the date of exercising of this option. So if there are certain returns which are due, then that needs to be filed first. After that, only he will be eligible to exercise this option. This point also you have to keep in mind. And these are the situations when it will be deemed that the person has opted for quarterly scheme or a monthly scheme. So right now we will not cover it. We have already studied it earlier. Now, how to submit details of outward supply. So this is one issue that, as you have seen, that this kind of dealer, they can pay tax on monthly basis, but returns may be filed on quarterly basis. But if they want, they can file the monthly invoice details also. How they will be able to file? You see, this is a option which is called as Invoice Furnishing Facilities option. Okay, so that option can be used. Once again, I would like to show you that thing in the website. So just for your revision, give me 1 second for that. Few other things also I would like to show you. So now what I have to do, I have to log in first. Okay, so for login, you know already website ID. Anybody has remember? Website address gst.gov.in. So by using login, one can enter into. You can use your username and password. Now you can see Can you tell me how to opt into the scheme? I think last class I had shown you. If someone wants to enter into that scheme, any idea? No? Yes or no? Tell me. If you don't know also, please let me know. So I'll try to help you. Can anyone tell me if someone wants to opt that scheme, how to do it? You know it or not? Can anyone reply? So I guess you do not know that. Well, no issue. So you see, we can go here. Can you link here what is written here? Are you able to read it?
Services.
Services. Okay, you click here, services. Now, what you can do, you can go here, returns. Are you able to see here? If you're seeing returns, now can you find out somewhere it is written opt in for quarterly return? Are you able to find it out?
Last option.
Yeah, on this column, right? Opt in for quarterly return. If you have already opted, if you want to opt out, then also you can do the same process. Under services, you can opt in or opt out. Okay, opt out, later on we'll see it. But you see, this is how one can opt in for quarter. Okay, understood? Now, next is I'm going to click that. Now you see, if you see the return dashboard, I think this I had shown you for a particular quarter, let us say. Okay, let us say for previous quarter, we'll see quarter one. This return has been filed. I was showing you. Let us see for one more quarter, quarter two. So if you come to quarter two, you know, for the past 2 months, you'll be able to upload invoices through this option. Are you able to see it? Can you read it? What is written here? Are you able to see it? Invoice Furnishing Facility, IFF. Since this is the second month of the quarter, so April, May, June is over, the July, August, September, the second month, this option is available. So one can click here and opt for doing it. Invoices can be uploaded if somebody wants it. Understood? I think you got some idea. What is this IFF or Invoice Furnishing Facility, which allows quarterly return ITR 1 filers to upload their invoices every month. Every month means in the first 2 months of the quarter, one can do. Okay, last month of the quarter has to be uploaded in GSTR 1 return. Okay, and you have already uploaded, let us say you have already uploaded through IFF invoices the past 2 months, that need not be again uploaded through GSTR 1. One need not do it. Okay, a taxpayer has to submit B2B invoice details. They can do so through this IFF. But there is one restriction you have to keep. One has to keep that thing in the mind. The net value of invoices that can be uploaded is restricted. Restricted to how much of amount? Can anyone tell me?
50 lakhs.
50 lakhs per month. And once it is uploaded, then it will be reflected in GSTR 2A, 2B, GSTR 4A, 6A, etc. Okay, so this is the concept. One can opt for this scheme. Okay, so if we summarize these things, so if someone has opted for QRMP scheme, he is a QRMP supplier, and Every quarter he has to file return and every month he has to make payment. For month 1 and month 2 of the quarter, you can upload the invoices, debit notes, credit notes in IFF by 13th of the subsequent month. Earlier I had shown you the website also when you were seen by 13th. 13th is the last day. By 13th of the subsequent month. Okay, suppose now August, then when he has to file it, by 13th of September. Okay, so 13th of the subsequent month, one will be able to upload it through IFF. But for third month, he has to upload. We have to check in the third month whether he has uploaded through IFF or not. If he has not uploaded, then what you can do for month 1, 2, and 3, entire thing can be uploaded in GSTR 1 by 13th of the first month of the next one. But in case he has already uploaded, then only month 3 invoices needs to be uploaded in GSTR 1 by 13th of the first month of the next one. Okay. And the invoices which are uploaded through IFF, that will be also reflected in GSTR 2A and 2B. Did you understand this scheme? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now coming to that monthly payment part, how monthly payment has to be made. So as you already know, there are two options. Two options means you see, can you see it here? Fixed sum method and self-assessment method. Last class, I think I had shown you these methods. Or you want to see it again? What do you like to do? If I go to payments under GST portal, if I go for create challenge, okay. Now you see you are getting an option, monthly payment for quarterly returns. Okay, and if you click here, monthly payment for quarterly returns, what options you are getting? One is 35% challan, or another is challan on self-assessment basis. These are the two options available. Are you getting it? Are you able to see? Yes or no? So if you decide you want to make monthly payment for quarterly return, so these are the two options one can exercise: 35% challan or challan on self-assessment basis. So what are these things? Let us learn. And what are these methods? Let us learn it quickly. Now you see, the taxpayer has to deposit tax by using PMT6. PMT6 is the challan number. And he has to deposit it by 25th of the following month for the first and second months of the quarter. Okay, through these methods, either by fixed sum method. Fixed sum method is popularly called as 35% of the challan method, because this challan will be automatically generated on the basis of your previous filing, and that much of money you have to deposit. That is fixed sum method. Or under self-assessment method. Self-assessment method means you have to compute how much is your liability on your output supplies and how much is the input available with you in credit, and the difference has to be paid. That is the self-assessment. Okay, now first let us see what is this fixed sum method or 35% challan method. So pre-filled challan will be generated. 35% of the tax shall be paid in cash. Okay, now how this 35% will be computed? If those suppliers who has furnished GSTR 3B on a quarterly basis, let us say last quarter they have filed a quarterly return, then they have to file 35% of the tax paid in cash in the preceding quarter. they have to pay that much of tax. Okay, preceding quarter, quarterly was filed. Quarterly is for 3 months. Is it done? So this time what we find, how much will be paid on monthly basis? 35% of the previous quarterly filed. If the person has filed monthly return, then 100% of the tax paid on cash basis shall also be paid this time. So tax to be paid either 35% of the previous amount in case return is filed on quarterly basis, and in case return is filed on monthly basis, the 100% of the tax paid in cash in the last month of the immediately preceding quarter shall be pre-filled, and that amount has to be paid. Did you understand this? I again repeat, if the previous return is filed on quarterly basis, then 35%. If the previous return is filed on monthly basis, then 100%. So this is called as fixed sum method. Other method, or let us see an example here. Let us say in this situation, GSTR 3B, if the GSTR 3B from the January 2021 to March 2021 quarter was filed on quarterly basis, it's a quarter. If these are the amount is paid in cash in the previous quarter, okay, CGST 10,000, SGST 10,000, IGST 10,000, cess 3,000. Now 30% of it has to be paid. Why 30? Sorry, 35% has to be paid. Why 35%? Because quarterly return is filed. So 10,000, 35% is 3,500. SGST 10,000, 35% is 3,500. IGST 20,000, the 35% of that is 7,000. And cess is 3,000, and 35% of that is 1,050. Okay. So this much money has to be paid through this PMT 067 fixed sum method. In case GSTR 3 was filed on monthly basis, then 100% of the tax paid, 100% you see, so whatever was the GST, SGST, IGST, or cess paid in the previous month, the same amount has to be paid as fixed sum, 3,000, 3,000, 5,000, 1,000. So these may be two scenarios. Scenario one, monthly return. Scenario two was quarterly return. This is first method. Second method is self-assessment method. Under self-assessment method, please appreciate that taxpayer has to pay tax by taking into consideration what is his tax liability and what is the input tax credit available. Input tax credit available can be verified from electronic credit ledger, and tax liability on the basis of his invoice he can compute. So under this system, or that is the self-assessment system, self-assessment method, so taxpayer has to manually arrive at the tax liability for every month. Okay. Manually he has to arrive. There might be possibility that taxpayer need not have to pay. In which situation taxpayer need not have to pay? In case the balance in electronic credit ledger is adequate for the tax liability. Let us say money is already there in the electronic credit ledger. Then he need not pay anything in the cash. In the first month. Let us say in the second month, what happens? Money available in electronic credit ledger is adequate to meet the cumulative liability of the first month as well as second month. Meaning, if adequate money is there in your electronic ledger, then you need not pay anything in cash. Okay, so this thing you have to remember. Are you getting me? Yes or no? Okay, so as I told you, tax has to be paid on monthly basis, but return has to be filed on quarterly basis. So you might be thinking, then what is the due date of filing quarterly return? Have a look. This slide explains what is the due date of filing return on quarterly basis. So in our country, two dates are relevant. One is 24th of the month succeeding each quarter. Right. So 24th of the month. So in most of the states, you can see, including the state of Odisha, state of Bihar, you see. So many states you see the last date is 24th of the month succeeding the quarter. And there are few states where the due date is 22nd. So two dates are relevant. One is 22nd of the succeeding month, 22nd of the month succeeding such quarter, and another is 25th. So you have to see which date is applicable. Are you able to understand? Yes or no? Okay. Now, you might be thinking that how input tax credit can be claimed under QRMP scheme. Friends, practically there is no procedural difference so far as claiming ITC under QRMP scheme. The QRMP taxpayer who are using self-assessment method for calculating tax payments for the first 2 months of the quarter, they may consider ITC available by referring to their electronic credit ledger, and accordingly, they may use that ITC for discharging their tax liability. But one issue is that the people or the buyers who are dealing with the vendor who is under the QRMP scheme, let us say someone is buying from a vendor who is under QRMP scheme, then he need to refer to the quarterly GST R2B for his ITC claims, because after quarterly to be only it will be finally reflected. So that may be one issue. But so far as availing input credit is concerned, there is no difference for the QRMPs for the registered persons who have opted for QRMP scheme. Now, friends, two more issues we need to learn. One is about interest. Second is about penalty or the late fee. Interest is normally levied when there is a delay. Okay, and in some kind of situations when there is delay, late fee is also levied. So let us say in which situation interest is levied when if tax is not paid. Late fee is levied when returns are not filed. So let us look at that. But how much is the penalty that can be levied? So these penalties are also important. So if someone is negligent, he has to pay huge penalty for this. You see, the tax liability, as I told you, has to be paid through monthly or this PMT6 challan by 25th of the following. Okay. If it is paid by 25th, then no interest. But if it is not paid by 25th, can you see what is the interest? 18% of the tax liability from 26th and the following. So annual interest rate is 18%. Okay, in case the final tax liability for the 2 months is less than or equal to amount paid through PPL challan, actual liability, let us say less, then no penalty, no interest will be levied. Okay, all these things we are talking about now, interest, not penalty. Or in case the final tax liability of first 2 months is higher than the amount tax paid through pre-filled GST PMT6, and such excess liability has been paid with quarterly GST R3B, then also there is no interest because finally the amount is paid. And in case the final tax liability of the first 2 months is higher than the amount paid through pre-filled challans, and such excess liability has not been paid within the quarterly GST R3B due date, then 18% interest. Okay, so 18% interest is applicable if GST is not deposited within the due dates. Okay, now coming to late fee. The good thing is that there is a maximum cap on this late fee. Late fee shall be paid on the following basis, but subject to a maximum late fee of 5,000 rupees. And you see, for every late fee for every day of delay, if let us say quarterly 3B is not filed, and for every day of delay under CGST Act, 25%, 25 rupees per day. Okay, in case there is some tax liability, and for there is some nil tax liability, then 10 rupees is the penalty. So this column is for nil tax liability. So for the CGST Act 10 rupees, for SGST Act 10 rupees, for IGST Act 20 rupees. And if there is some fees due, or there is some taxes due, then CGST Act 25 rupees, SGST Act 25 rupees, IGST Act 50 rupees. So this much of late fee is payable. Now, lastly, one more thing we'll be learning, that how to opt out from this QRMP scheme. One can definitely opt out. If he's not interested, he can go to under same thing under the scheme services, that returns. That if he has already opted out, there will be option will be showing the opt out. If he has not opted out, then opt-in option will be showing. Right. So this opt-in or opt-out options will be alternatively shown. So one can choose that. Okay, but this opt-in, opt-out has to be exercised within the fixed time. Okay. The opt-in, opt-out in the first month of the any quarter, that option has to be exercised. After that, that option will not be available. Person will not be eligible to opt out or opt in. Okay, so this is in summary, this was the scheme. Did you understand this properly? QRMP scheme. Yes or no? Is it clear to you? Okay, hope all of you understood this scheme. Okay, now with this, we'll close this particular topic. Now, after that, maybe some new topic will be entering into shortly. If you have any question, ask me right now. Hope there is no question. Thank you.